UCF.
Thank you, guys.
First of all, can you just kind of talk us through early January? You go in the portal. I'm sure you're getting hit up by all these coaches. UCF reaches out. This was your first and only visit, and you committed right away. So what was it about this opportunity that made you want to come down to Orlando?
Correct. I mean, they say the portal's like speed dating. Definitely felt like that type of process for sure. I was intrigued from the start. Just Coach Frost and Coach KZ and Coach Scoop and the whole staff. Just the pedigree that they have with quarterbacks, the success that they have, the things that they do on offense. I saw it from afar, and just seeing it in person and really coming into the building and feeling that family type environment is what got me.
Alonza, you were a playoff quarterback last year. Can you talk about that experience and how that maybe prepares you to come into the Big 12 and play at a high level immediately?
Yeah, for sure. Being in the playoff was cool, but that wasn't enough for me. Obviously, the goal is to win. We didn't win, but I was grateful for the situation, the position itself. It was fun. It was a dream come true. When you think about college football and Staples stadiums all across the country, Alta Stadium is one of them. So just to be able to experience that type of environment, see that speed of the game, those guys from the front four to the back end and play against first round, second round, third round draft picks. I believe that sets me up well for success in the Big 12.
Scott and Mackenzie kept quiet about it, but what have you been dealing with in the spring, and kind of what's your prognosis going into summer?
Yeah, I'll be back for the summer. It was just something we were taking a day at a time, and it just got to a point it was like a for why. I've still been throwing, I've still been running, still been lifting, getting engaged with the area, teammates and stuff like that, just on a smaller scale.
Do you have any sort of procedure or cleanup in the off season?
No.
What do you feel you missed not being fully cleared during the spring?
I don't think I've missed too much. Obviously, there are quality reps that you want to get, but just mentally staying on top of things is what you have to do. I mean, being a quarterback is 90% mental anyway. But like I said, I haven't missed too much. I've been able to throw to guys like JD, Wade, and Speedo. Even if they're just sitting there top of the routes, obviously because they're coming off of practice. But just getting used to those guys is, I don't think I've missed too
How
much.
would you describe that relationship you're developing with guys?
Yeah, there's a deep room from top to bottom. A lot of young guys, they can play different positions, Swiss Army knives. That's really how I describe all of them. They're all good people. They have a great head on their shoulders, and they're great players and even better people to be around.
How has the spring been for you? Has it been frustrating to not be out there getting those live reps, or if not, how have you kind of kept your head above that and trying to be positive about how the spring has gone?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call it a disappointment, but I'm a competitor. So at the end of the day, of course I want to be out there with my guys. Of course I want to be out there, in the fire with them. But there's a time and a place for everything, and when the time is right, I'll be back out there, which will be soon. Like I said, I've been throwing with those guys, but yeah, I wouldn't describe it as frustrating. It's just a blessing to be in this position anyway.
Alonza, you said you'll be back for the summer.
Yeah.
But can you talk about how you start the process of making up that time through the spring, developing chemistry with your wide receivers, and making sure that you guys are all on the same page about what's in the playbook and how to execute?
Yeah, even though I'm not out there, throwing to those guys, I can still get, those mental reps of how they come out of their routes. I'm hearing conversations that they have with Caleb and the other quarterbacks, where they want the ball, the type of releases that they use, what they're really comfortable with. So just when I get back out there, now I'm taking the notes that I took, with the pen and the paper and, applying it to routes on there and
What do you
stuff
like about
that.
this offense?
Yeah, just the versatility of it. It's a true pro style offense without getting too much into the details. A lot of people can go a lot of places.
Alonza, what's something that you got to do during spring that maybe you couldn't have done if you were in the middle of practicing on the field? How do you take advantage of not being out at practice like that?
I can lift harder. I can make up those gains in the weight room. The mental reps is just watching more film. Obviously, you can't replace physical reps, but there are other aspects like getting in shape, conditioning, lifting that I've been able to take advantage of.
You were recruited to JMU by Coach Cignetti. You kind of waited your turn to get out there and play, obviously coming off 2 great years. Kind of describe yourself as a quarterback. What are we going to see when you get on the field for UCF this fall?
Yeah, somebody that's smart, takes care of the ball, and I like to have a lot of fun with it too. So, interacting with my guys, dapping them up, dancing in the end zone. This game is, something that can, come and go. I've experienced it, a number of different ways. So just being back out there on the field is an extreme amount of gratitude.
Alonza, we spoke with KZ just a moment ago. He said you're like a coach in the team. You're drawing on plays and speaking to some of the younger guys. What's been your process of building your leadership on the team even though you're not fully participating?
Yeah, you have to, find other ways to make an impact on the team without, stepping on toes or, getting in other people's way. There's obviously only but so much what I can say without being out there with my guys, but, I try to step in when I can.
Alonzo, we heard that from some of the O-linemen that you're playing the show and kind of having that camaraderie off the field. What's that been like with the O-linemen?
Yeah, they're all cool people. Whether we're just kicking it around the house or mostly video games. We've been on the show heavy. Coop, Brady, Prigg, a bunch of those guys. So it's another way to escape and get some downtime away from football.
Rocco flipped from JMU in November. Did you have a relationship with him during his time as a recruit? What have you thought about him this spring?
Yeah, Rocco. I actually hosted him a little bit on his visit, so I got to see him come in. It's funny to see his personality bloom a little bit. He was a whole lot quieter then, but Rocco's a great guy for sure.
What have you seen bloom?
It's hard, coming in as an early enrollee. I was in that same position as him and Dante. So just, he's supposed to go to prom, he's supposed to finish his last semester of high school, and just, the maturity to be able to handle an offense like this with checks, alerts, protections, different cadences. I mean, they're light years ahead of where I was as an early enrollee. So just seeing that, about his game, bloom and continue to develop, he's way ahead of the game mentally.
What stands out to you about the quarterbacks in this spring?
We're all easy going. I think you can go in there, we could laugh, we could kick it, but at the end of the day, we're competitors too. So we want to see each other be at their best. We push each other, and we like to laugh and have fun as well.
What gives you the confidence that you can take this UCF offense to new heights?
Yeah, I think it's the guys around me. The guys around me is what gives me the confidence. Coach Scoop, Coach KZ, Coach Frost, like I talked about the pedigree, that they have with quarterbacks, and it just makes my job easy. I just go out there and tell me do what they tell me to do, and that sounds simple enough, but.
Do you feel like when you go out there this far, you're gonna have to play a little catch up, or you think you're gonna be able to transition right into that?
Nah. Just like I said, just mental reps. I've still been throwing, lifting, running, stuff like that. It's just, getting my feet wet.
Alonzo, there's a massive opportunity for improvement in the passing game. Last year, there were only 12 touchdowns thrown. Only 11 were by quarterbacks, and only 4 were caught by wide receivers. Can you talk about what you bring to the table to help get those wide receivers involved more in the passing game, particularly in the red zone?
Yeah, I think Coach Scoop and them, they did a great job, bringing in receivers and also retaining people, retaining talent. So when it comes to that, it's just me executing at the high level, doing what they tell me to do, and going above and beyond. And it's like what Coach Scoop and Coach KZ like to call the quarterback, where we have to be erasers and cowboys. Whatever mistake somebody else might have to make, we have to make up for it and just go with whatever and be great decision makers.
Which receivers have caught your eye so far? Getting a chance to observe them in practice a little bit. Which receivers have caught your eye to be like, this is somebody I might want to throw to?
I think all of them have, just in different ways. JD has big playmaking ability. D-Way has a great catch radius. Waden's a big body, back shoulder. He can also go over the top and catch. Bibbs, speed, Tyron, speed and playmaking. I mean, the list goes on and on. I'm missing a whole bunch of guys, but I wouldn't say there's just one receiver. Like I said, we have a lot of depth in the receiver room.
You're coming off a conference championship and a playoff appearance at JMU. What does success look like for you this season at UCF?
That's the past is the past. I like to see each year as a clean slate. So, we have our eyes set, obviously, Big 12 championship playoff appearance. But last year doesn't really have an effect on, what's going on this year. I'm unproven. Still have to go out there and do it again. And, that's the mentality that I know not only myself, but this whole team is taking.
What kind of common ingredients do you see between the championship team that you were on last year and the one you're with right now?
Just the receivers being Swiss Army knives. All the talent in the receiver room, the depth of the O-line, and then a great run game. Obviously, we had a great run game with Wayne and those guys last year. And then the receivers, top to bottom, were great. And then we were able to rotate linemen, which is, some of the similarities I see within this offense. And then just defensively, just the different looks that they present. I would say going into games, it was a little easier for myself last year, just because the defense gave me the hardest looks. So I see some of that, on film this year from our defense.
How excited are you to prove yourself, to kind of show what you can do against maybe Big 12 competition? I knew you played, big opponents at JMU, but you're going to be playing it week in or week out at UCF. What do you want to prove this year?
Yeah, same thing. I can play the position, and not only play the position, but excel at a high level. Obviously, that's a reason for transferring up, and that's obviously a question a lot of people have. But you know, I'm confident, you know, in who God has created me to be, the skill, talents, abilities, the opportunity, the people He's put around me. So from there, now I just have to put in the work and control what I can control.
All right, Alonza, thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thanks, everybody.
Alonza.